I'm headed over to the garden right now with all my baskets and bowls because there is a lot in there that needs to be harvested this evening. The sun's going down rather quickly here, so hopefully I can get this all done. We'll see how much we can do. But there is a ton of stuff in there that needs to be picked. Ryan and I have been working in the garden with the kids all day today, laying down some fresh mulch on top of all of the beds. Everything looks really nice and put together. I love when there's been fresh mulch laid out. This was free mulch and it's really dark and rich, which I was pleasantly surprised with considering it was free. Over here in the garden, the sunflowers are already starting to grow really tall, but the first thing that we're interested in seeing is the strawberries. The strawberry beds here, these two square ones and that long one, and then I have about 4 more back there that all need to be picked and harvested. So that's what we're gonna do first. You can see them dangling off the edge of the bed. Hey, Lucy. Lucy actually really likes eating strawberries. I see her out here quite often with her nose in the garden bed, nibbling on the strawberries. But we definitely have plenty to share, so I'm not mad at her at all for trying to take a little garden snack treat. I can't blame her. They're absolutely delicious. I really like them. The strawberries are so sweet. They are so yummy. It's been a really warm day today, and I've noticed that whenever it's really hot and there hasn't been rain or the strawberries haven't been watered, they're always a little bit sweeter. And since we've had a really hot day all morning and afternoon today, the strawberries are exceptionally sweet. We have 3 different types of strawberries in our beds. Early Glow, Jewel, and Sparkle is the last variety. All of our strawberries that we are growing are what's called June bearing. Now, it's not even the month of June yet when I'm filming this, and the strawberries are obviously already been taking off, and they've been going strong for a few weeks now. There's 2 different varieties of strawberries, June bearing or ever bearing. Because these are all June bearing, they will produce a really big crop of strawberries and put all their fruit out at once early in the spring, and then they'll be done for the rest of the summer. If you have an ever bearing variety, it won't produce as much at once, but it'll produce fruit continually throughout the summer season. So it kind of depends on what you want to do. I like preserving a lot of our strawberries, so it's nice to have all the berries ready to be picked all at once versus picking a few berries here and there throughout the summer months. I have enough in the garden that I'm going to be harvesting all season long, so it's really nice to have the strawberries done once tomatoes are ready to harvest, for instance. And it kind of makes them that much sweeter since we don't get them all summer long. We only get to enjoy them fresh eating first thing in the spring. I will say, our beds are definitely really thick, and I should have thinned out these plants. I've been selling a lot of the strawberry plants as I've been kind of thinning them out. However, there's still a ton of strawberry plants here, as you can see. And our berries definitely would have been a lot bigger if I had thinned them out. This is about the average size berry out of this bed, which is probably the thickest bed. But if we move over here to the next bed over, it has a lot bigger of berries. And you can probably tell the difference between the two. This one, you can see some mulch, whereas this one we were just harvesting from is a complete thick carpet of strawberries. So the thick carpet of strawberries is definitely smaller berries, whereas the one that's been thinned The berries are a little bit bigger. Not an insane difference, but definitely a little bit bigger. Oh, I see a good one right here. Look, that one's pretty big.
Season again, and the ash in the air is my eyes stinging, and I can hear the winter slowly awakening. The mountains are my only goal, so I can shed my skin and be made whole. In the crisp air and the red clay will be my salvation. Your absence sets in with the early frost, and the things that I've loved are the things I've lost. The wheat from the chaff, the sheep from the goats. This year I am becoming my own home. This year I am becoming my home. Already leaving. I guess you got...
This bed here is strawberries all the way down to the very end and around the next L. Not completely strawberries. There are some pretty flowers here too. These are all yarrow that came back from last year. This yarrow mix, I think was called Pastels Mix. I'll put the name of what it was on the screen. It was from Baker Creek Seeds. Has a pretty variety of white and light pink and dark pink. Some of them even have kind of a two-toned color on the same little flower mop center. There's a little bit darker on the outside and lighter pink on the inside. I think it's really pink. I think it's really lovely. I also harvested some asparagus earlier today in the garden. Everybody in my family loves fresh asparagus straight from the garden. Asparagus to me seems kind of like a funny plant. You know, most of the plants we harvest things from in the garden are these big, leafy, or viney plants. Asparagus seems to come basically just out of the mulch. Now, I planted these, so I know that beneath the surface of the soil, there's a pretty impressive root system, but it's still funny to me every time I harvest. We already ate it for dinner this evening. It was very delicious. The asparagus is starting to fern a little bit, but we're able to still get quite a few good harvests every couple days off of it. So that's been really lovely. Oh, I smushed it all over my fingers. Well, if you smush it. Oh, they're so sweet. These strawberries have just been wonderful. I've been having them every morning for breakfast. Push. As a garden snack whenever I'm out here working in the garden. We've been fortunate to harvest a lot of strawberries already this year, and we've been putting them up in the freezer and freezing them and preserving them that way until I have time to do some canning and different things. I think I would definitely want to make some strawberry jelly later this season, but also some other things too. What's your favorite strawberry recipe? Let me know down below. I may have to try out some new stuff. We definitely have enough strawberries to experiment and make some new recipes this year. I always have my tried and true favorites like strawberry shortcake and strawberry jellies and jams and just fresh eating too. But it's a lot of fun to make new recipes and find new things to try. I often get a new cookbook from the library every time I go in because I just think it's really fun to try out new recipes and branch out and figure out things that you may not even know you like until you give it a shot. I'm trying my best to only pick the red ones. There are a few that I see in my bowl that I've accidentally picked that were a little bit white still. I like them to ripen completely on the strawberry plant before I pick them. That's when they're the most sweet. Ooh, I just found a really nice one. That one's pretty big compared to the other ones. That's a good one. This one strawberry here hanging over the edge of the bed looks like it's had something kind of nibbling on it. Thankfully, we have plenty of strawberries to go around and share with any little animal that may come into the garden for a snack. The strawberries set runners, and you can see they're all the way down in the path. But there's lots of good strawberries even in the path too. The runners are the plants which I've been selling. However, I still need to thin out the beds themselves too. Strawberries set what's called runners. Let me see if I can find one here. You know what? I know where a good example is. Over here on the other side of the garden where our other strawberry beds are, there are tons of runners. I was actually clipping a few of them earlier today, but I did not get to doing all of them nearly. So there's plenty of examples over here to show you what a strawberry runner looks like. This strawberry bed is all from runners that the other ones made. I transplanted them over here last year. They send out these shoots, and then at the end of the shoot, another strawberry plant will grow and it'll actually root down into the soil. Let's see if I can find a really good example. All right, here's one where it's starting to set roots. It hasn't set anything yet, just like a tiny little white root there. Here, if we go, right here in the path. This strawberry plant was a runner from the big plants over here. And you can see it came over here and that started to set itself. And here's another one that sent off a shoot for another plant. What you can do is just cut this stem here, and this will be a whole new plant that you can then transplant or sell. I have been letting them set runners, but this year I need to start snipping off those extras because we have plenty of strawberry plants and I don't really have a ton of space that I want to dedicate to anymore. One tip though, if you are going to try to propagate your strawberries, let them get a nice root system established before you snip it off. Otherwise, it'll just kill the young little runner plant. The stem here is basically like an umbilical cord from a baby to a mama, and it gets lots of nutrients from the mother plant, and it helps it get nice and established. I picked a lot of dill the other day too to put up and preserve. I have a lot of dill here in the garden that self-seeded itself from last year. It smells so nice. I'm gonna cut all of it down right now to use some of it today for some cucumber salad, and I'm also gonna make a fish dish tonight with some fresh dill on it. And the rest of it that I'm not gonna get to using today, I will dry and save that as dill for the rest of the year. Some of it is starting to want to go to seed, so I want to cut it back before it does that. I feel like I'm carrying little mini trees. They're so cute. This one is actually already flowering. You can see I didn't cut it all the way to the ground. I left quite a bit of it still on there actually. I harvested a whole lot. This is just one of the little bunches. This basket right here is completely filled up with dill as well. So I have 2 really big handfuls of dill that will be great for putting up and preserving. Oh, it smells so good too. Let me know what recipes you like to use dill for. My favorite's definitely cucumber salad with fresh cucumber, a little bit of thinly sliced onion, red wine vinegar, a splash of sugar, and dill. That's what I like making the most, but I'm a fan with anything that has this seasoning in it. It's a great herb, and I think it smells really nice. It adds a lot of flavor too. Don't even know if I can get it all in this basket. There we go. That's crazy. It's really big.
I want to see if I can come up with a new way of hanging my herbs to dry. Last year I hung them up in the pantry, but I've already run out of room for how much I have in the garden that I need to put up. So we're trying some new methods this year. Let's see what works best.
I was going to hang all my dill between these 2 lights to air dry, but I think it's going to be a little too heavy because just one little strand's hung up and it's already pulling the lights, and I don't want to pull the lights out of the ceiling. It was probably a crazy idea anyway that would have made Ryan a little frustrated to have dill in the kitchen hanging up for several weeks. We're just gonna get the dehydrator out instead. I'm gonna cut the leaves off of the stem, because I just want the green part anyway. Well, I guess it's all green, but the little leaves, not the stem necessarily.
I'm going to continue to lay out the leaves all on the dehydrator sheets, just like this.
I completely filled up the dehydrator, but I still had a lot left to preserve, so I did end up finding a method that worked for stringing these up. I kind of just used clothespins and had kind of a clothesline situation going on. I ended up cutting off the big green stems so that it was a lot less weight up there on the light fixtures. I think it'll work out. Our kitchen will smell really nice and smell like fresh dill for the next couple weeks while all that's hanging out to dry.
When I went back outside to pick more strawberries, I noticed this beautiful butterfly sitting on top of the yarrow. I went up close to try to get a good shot, but then it flew away. Next to the yarrow, we have some California poppies. These are such a vibrant orange, they're almost neon. It's kind of hard to capture the beauty of flowers on camera, but I do the best I can, and I just want to show you guys all the pretty little things that are growing right now. There's lots in the garden getting started besides just strawberries. But we still have a lot of strawberries left to harvest. It's going to be a pretty huge harvest. You'll have to wait until the very end of this video to see what the grand totals are for the day. I'll be sure to lay everything out and we can see all the strawberries put together in one big pile. There are a lot of really large strawberries in this bed though. I keep thinking I picked the biggest one, but then I look around every leaf and there seems to be more strawberries hidden. The thing about having strawberries in beds like this versus rows that you may see elsewhere is that sometimes the leaves can hide the strawberries. Now, this is kind of a good thing because I feel like the birds don't pick at the strawberries, at least I don't have an issue with that. However, you can't really see them. You actually have to dig around in the leaves to find all the strawberries and make sure you're not missing any. Now, sometimes you do end up missing one or two, and that's always the case with me. Like, you can see this one here is pretty rotten and has gotten moldy. I'll see if I can chuck it in the compost. Yes, score. But sometimes there's a little bit of a moldy strawberry. If it's just a little bit, like this really big one, I will just cut off the good part and keep that and throw away the rest. Well, compost, not throw away. But I try to come out here every couple days and go through the beds to make sure that I am harvesting the strawberries at the appropriate time and not missing any. But inevitably, with as many strawberry beds as I have, you will end up missing some. This one's really cool. It looks like a fused blossom. Sometimes when two strawberry flowers kind of get stuck together, the strawberry gets a funky shape. But I don't care what the shape looks like as long as it's really tasty. Oh, this one's even weirder. It almost looks like 4 or 5 strawberries morphed together into one little berry there. Well, big berry, I should say. I'm always dropping strawberries too. Sometimes the kids are right behind me and they pick up anything that I drop, or the dogs, but I try to pick them up if I see them. But inevitably, there's strawberries in the sidewalk too. We have strawberries coming out of our ears. They're here, there, and everywhere. Speaking of strawberries in the sidewalk, the path of the little mulch section between our raised beds has lots of strawberry runners. Now, I was planning on moving these plants earlier in the season, but they're already producing a lot of strawberries here in the pathways too, so I'm just leaving them so I can get them all harvested. Once the strawberries are, finished producing for the rest of the summer, I will probably transplant them if I find some time. If not, it'll wait till the spring next year and hopefully I'll get around to it. Now, I have taken several bags of strawberries out of this one particular spot. So if you watched the new berry garden video series we're doing here on the channel, then you saw that I actually transplanted a bunch from this area right here over to the new berry garden. I want to transplant even more strawberries to the new berry garden. Ooh, that's a really big one. That looks nice. So perfect and red and shiny. What was I saying? Oh yeah, I want to transfer more strawberries over to the new berry garden area. But again, I need to find some free time to do that. Life is busy around here lately, but a good kind of busy, and I wouldn't have it any other way. We also have been having basically a drought. I guess you could call it a drought. It's been about 2 months since we have had a nice steady rain shower. We had rain for, maybe 5 minutes the other day, but you could barely tell that it had rained when you walked outside. The grass was still rock solid. Our yard has looked pretty brown here lately. Thankfully, I have drip irrigation set up in all the garden beds. Otherwise, the garden would really be suffering. But that is another reason why I don't want to transplant everything just yet. It's hard on plants to be transplanted in the heat of summer. It's better to do it at the beginning of the season or the end of the season versus in the dead, hot summer heat. That bowl is looking really pretty though. We still have a lot of strawberries left to pick, but I want to take a little break and check on some other berry bushes. We have some blueberries that are ripening up, so I'm going to have a little blueberry snack mid-harvest here. There are a few berries on each bush that are turning blue, but there's a lot of green ones still coming. The kids are right here beside me eating them too. They are pretty much snagging them all. There's also just 1 or 2 gooseberries and currants on the new plants coming on as well. These little white currants are so sweet. They're my favorite so far. They are really, really sweet when they're squishy, but kind of tart when they're hard.
Also need to cut some lettuce this evening. This lettuce right here is basically a romaine head. The variety is called Monte Carlo. I grew it last year and it's really flavorful and I had extra seeds, so I grew some more. Lately, I've really been liking strawberry salad with this lettuce and a little bit of feta cheese and like a balsamic vinaigrette. It's so good. I just noticed we have sugar snap peas too, and they're ready to harvest, it looks like. I was out here all day in the garden with Ryan working on mulch, and I never noticed them. I guess I was too distracted. That's exciting. I love sugar snap peas. This is the first one of the season. There's actually a bunch on here. Okay, I don't really want to eat the little flower on the end. They're so good. Sugar snap peas are just one of my favorites. Honestly, I really like any food from the garden. I don't really grow things that I don't like to eat. That kind of defeats the purpose, I think. That one's still a little small. Yeah, I have more sugar snap peas over here. Some of them are looking a little rough. Let's see if there's any peas. Oh, there's one. Not a crazy harvest on the sugar snap peas, but that's the first I've noticed of them, so they'll probably be coming on pretty quickly here. There's a lot of little white flowers everywhere, and a little white flower turns into a pea. The sun just came out. It's been hiding behind the clouds. I don't know if you can see the golden light hitting the tree back here, but the sun's starting to set. It looks so beautiful. I heard someone say once that every sunset is like God's chance to create a new masterpiece. And I really think that's true. They're so pretty. Man, the goats are like singing over there. Ryan went down there to feed the bottle babies and they are talking. Let me show you the sunset. It looks even more beautiful in person.
I'm going to set my camera up for a real quick little time lapse for y'all because I have a feeling that the sunset is going to literally glow and make the sky look beautiful. really did create a beautiful masterpiece this evening. I wasn't joking when I said that I thought it was going to be a pretty sunset. That sunset was gorgeous. I hope it came across on the video as beautifully as it did in person, but I highly doubt that there is any way to capture that beauty unless you're here to experience it. I couldn't pick a better backdrop for picking strawberries.
This one looks a little crazy.
Do y'all hear the birds chirping right next to me? They're just singing. They're so pretty.
Ooh, a rotten one slipped past me.
I'm gonna throw it over there in the direction of these pretty birds, and hopefully they will find it and enjoy a yummy snack. I feel like that's the least I can do since they're singing and I've really been enjoying their company this evening.
There's a lot more left to be harvested. This is all that I've picked so far. There's a lot more on here. I'm only done with like 1.5 beds and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like 10 more to go. So I will definitely come back tomorrow in a couple seconds here and show y'all the total harvest that I picked this evening. I'm gonna keep picking even though it's getting dark here because it is a gorgeous evening. Look how pretty those are. So I'll see you in a few seconds. Oh, that's a nice big red one. I ended up picking strawberries late into the evening last night and we picked a ton. This is just a fraction of all the strawberries that I picked last night. Let me show you the total harvest haul, if you will. I have them over here in the garden on the picnic table. We have 4 pretty large bowls. This actually isn't even a bowl. This is a turkey oven roasting pan because I ran out of bowls last night. So I have 3 really big bowls of strawberries and this giant roasting pan as well. I'm planning on making some strawberry ice cream here in a few minutes, but the rest of these strawberries I'll probably put up in the freezer to use in smoothies or save until I'm ready to preserve them in a different way. This actually isn't even the complete haul. About, I don't know, 3 or 4 cups of strawberries were used this morning for breakfast. So we had a couple more than this, but it doesn't really make that big of a difference when you have quite a large amount like we do. We've been harvesting this many strawberries about every 3 to 4 days. So our freezer is getting nice and full of strawberries, which is really wonderful in my book. I've been having a lot of friends come over and help me pick and they could take strawberries home too because there's plenty to share and go around, that's for sure. If you've never grown strawberries, this is your sign to go buy some strawberry plants because these little red berries multiply themselves. I started with not that many plants just a couple years ago, and now I'm able to harvest tons and tons of strawberries every time I come out here. A typical strawberry harvest weight-wise for us is normally anywhere from like 15 to 20 pounds per harvest. So that's quite a lot of strawberries. Now, as a disclaimer, that is with all the green tops on the strawberries. That isn't weighed after they're all cut off. But still, I think that's a pretty good size number of strawberries. It's definitely fun harvesting things and sharing it with y'all. So there's plenty of harvesting videos coming this summer as the garden is kicking off and going into full gear here. So subscribe to our channel if you are interested in seeing more harvesting videos. Thanks for hanging out with me today as I harvested all these strawberries. My name's Cara. I hope y'all have a wonderful rest of your day wherever you're at. Bye y'all.